Welcome, everyone, to Music Junkies, a podcast about people sharing extraordinary stories about how music has impacted their lives.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to Music Junkies. I'm your host, Annette Smith, and today's guest is a New York Times bestselling author, pro bodybuilder at 50, right? Look at her. She's freaking amazing looking. Do some flexing for us later. But her new adventure has her DJing and producing music, and I love that you had no background in that, and your song is hitting the charts and climbing to #1, which you should be super proud of. Right. So please welcome, her stage name is Raw Love. So please welcome Chrisanna to the show. So
Thank you.
I'm excited to have you. Right. I know we were chatting a lot through Instagram, which is really, really cool. And I love your song, which is really cool. And we were just kind of playing a little bit before you got on the show. But before we jump into all your stories and all your craziness, what was your experience putting your playlist together for me today?
Oh, it was super fun because it kind of makes you walk down memory lane a little bit. I love how you said, think of songs that really impacted your life, and it makes you really sit down and think like, hey, what songs really were pivotal in my life? Like made me like think, okay, I need to be doing something different, or I remember this moment, or I want to change. So it was actually very easy for me because there were songs that I just remember how much they changed my life. So I think the homework assignment you gave me was very easy. It was really fun.
That's good. I need to come up with a better word than homework. I feel like every time I put homework in there, I feel like people are like, what the fuck? Like, what kind of homework is that? But people have been really good. I know
it was fun. It was really fun.
I know they're going to be a good fit when they're like, okay, yeah, I can do the homework. The ones that buck the homework, I always know that it's just going to be kind of a gong show. But I had this one guest and he sent me, it was like, I want to say it was 6 hours, just about 7 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, hey, like, we're going to do like 10 songs tops, if we even get to 10 songs. And he goes, honestly, Annette, if you asked any of those songs, I could give you a story. And I was like, whoa. So I just kind of randomly, like, we're just picking. And it's crazy. And he did it. I couldn't believe it. He did it.
Wow. That's impressive.
It is impressive. I'm curious though, because I'm always get curious where people's playlist starts. Like, so we're going to kind of go through yours, but I know the first song is like later on in life, but when we go through your songs, I am curious to know where those kind of populated a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're going to dive into your first song. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Welcome to fantasy.
You gotta love it. These bring me back to the old wave, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's your song.
That's my song. Yes, it is. So a little backstory on that one is I started DJing a little bit over 2 years ago. And then last summer before Burning Man, I was like, oh, I should learn how to produce because it'd be really fun to go to Burning Man and play my own song. And which is crazy to think, okay, like I think it was in May or June, I started learning Ableton, and I was going to Burning Man in August.
Wow.
It was with no musical background other than DJing for about 1.5 years under my belt. And I really, really love driving techno, melodic techno, peak time driven. Just the techno really speaks to my soul. And I always have all these ideas on when you listen to music, I'm thinking, oh, I wish this kind of song was out there. I wish this was out there, So I was like, okay, I'm going to create it. And I've been with my husband for 32 years. And we are wildly in love, and we have the time of our lives. So having inspiration to write a song is very easy for me because it's all about him and me and our love. And so one night I was laying with him in bed, and we were obviously naked, and I was like laying there with him, and I was thinking, wow, I wonder where my body ends and his begins. And then that's where I came up with the lyrics of the song, because the lyrics basically say, melt into my body and dive into my soul and watch me lose control. So the whole concept is where does my body begin and his end, vice versa, and then how I really feel like our love and our connection, we literally like dive into each other's soul. And I think it's a really special connection in relationships, because the more that you put the ego aside and the more vulnerable you are and the more open and more connected you are together, the more you let loose. And so hence the verse, watch me lose control. So that's where the lyrics came in. So basically, I knew nothing about Ableton, and I was looking at YouTube channels. I had a local guy show me some stuff. I already had my lyrics down. I had a girlfriend come to the studio. I asked somebody to just come to the studio and just do the vocals for me, my girlfriend Cami. And she doesn't usually do vocals for any type of music like this at all. And she wasn't even gonna come by because she was like too busy, but she came by last minute, and she just nailed it, and made the song. I played it at Burning Man. It was like a huge success. Then I changed some stuff up a little bit in December, and gave it to a label, and it came out in February. So it's pretty fun.
It's exciting. That's awesome. And
Yeah,
I
it
like
was
the
really
fact that
fun.
it's about your guys' love. So 32 years.
Yes, 32 years. And
What's the secret?
I wrote a New York Times bestselling book on relationships. I actually did the largest study in the world on relationships on the side too. Yeah. So I know the secrets, because my whole book was, I surveyed over 100,000 people worldwide, and I wanted to see what people were doing behind closed doors, and look at what's normal, but not advocate normalcy, and see what the most successful and happiest couples were doing in their relationships, and how I can incorporate it in my own, and then also share that with other people. Like, but I looked at it as a business. You're always trying to get your business maybe a little bit better, and what can you learn is learn from successful businesses, and maybe incorporate some of that into your own relationship. So yeah, I was like on Today's Show, all the big talk shows. Oprah's relationship expert was actually my co-author, and Dr. Pepper Schwartz, and I think she had like 10 books, and didn't hit the New York Times bestselling list until my book. So that was pretty fun for me.
That's awesome. So did you,
yeah.
I'm not saying that you didn't have like an amazing relationship before, but before you did all that research, did you have an amazing relationship, or did that?
Well, the whole reason why I did it was, so I've been with my husband 32 years. We have a 26-year-old, a 24-year-old, and a 22-year-old. So I did it back in the day when the kids were younger. And our relationship, the way we met is a fairy tale, which I'll talk about later. But the whole reason why I did it was because when the kids were younger, I felt like I wanted to know what we can do to make it even better, because I felt like we were so just all about the kids and all about work. And I felt like there was more that we were losing in being connected, and just like, and he kept saying it's a phase in our lives. We have these 3 little kids, and, we're both working hard. We don't have the opportunity to like go on big vacations and do this stuff together. We need to like get through these years of the kids being young. But I was just thinking there's got to be like little things that we can be doing differently, and some things that we can incorporate. And that's how I got the idea to write the book. And I've never written anything before in my life. And so I actually like just bought a book on how to write a book proposal, and I wrote the whole idea out in a book proposal. I got an agent, and it went to auction to all the top publishers, and they offered me a lot of money to write it, actually. A lot of money, and they loved the idea. So I did the study, and I wrote the book, and has a lot of pictures. It does. My kids were like, when I got the book deal, they were like, Mom, you don't even read. And I'm like, I read the Twilight series with you guys, come on. But no, so it's the perfect book for anybody that doesn't like reading, because I brought all the data through infographics, and it's funny and it's cartoons and it's fun. I try to make it really easy and fun. And it made a huge difference on our relationship, because as I was getting the data in, Mark and I were talking about stuff we wouldn't normally talk about. And that's what was so cool about it is, and I tell people all the time, you should just get the book and just read it together, like one chapter a night. Each chapter stands on its own. Because it gets you talking about at the dinner table, and it's like, do you like the way I kiss? Do we kiss enough? Do you like the way I do this? Do you like, what's your number one sexual fantasy? It's, so it just really gives you that opportunity to talk about things that you just wouldn't normally just bring up. And I think that's what really helped change our relationship and brought us even closer, even though we had these little kids and working full time. And it just really just took off from there. So yeah, it's been great. But the number one thing, if you guys want to hear the number one thing, is passionate kissing. So it's not so much about like, oh, you gotta have more sex, or you got, obviously communication was up there too. But what the research really showed was, couples that were still doing okay or still semi-happy were, they're still having sex, but they weren't like the ones that were extremely happy and really going for it the long haul, were having a lot more passionate kissing, making out, a lot more intimacy in that way, and being more connected in that sense, and which obviously leads to other things anyway. So that was probably one of the biggest. There's a lot of big takeaways, but that was a big one.
Yeah. How did you travel all over the place to go and have these intimate conversations with couples? Did you do a lot through
Yeah,
email? Did you do a lot through Skype?
I actually had a really creative way of doing it. So what I did was, and this was, like 10 years ago. So it was when, before, social media and everything was pretty big, but there were a lot of the big, like AOL and Reader's Digest. And there was a lot of big name companies that had a lot of just internet following on their websites. And people were reading all their magazines and articles and their shows and that so forth. So what I did was I picked 5 big media partners, like Huffington Post was one of them, like really big, and that had like millions of people that followed it. And then I said, okay, I'm going to carve out like a chapter or 2 chapters of questions just for you. And then, so what they did was they all cross promoted each other. So people would take this interactive survey, and then as people were taking the interactive questions, it would tell them how they're comparing to their peer group, not the general population, but somebody of their age, their income, their ethnicity, their religion, which I thought was really interesting, because I didn't want to know how I compared, or, what was the most successful in the general population. I wanted to know like my age, with that my many kids,
like we're going to
where
get
I live.
21-year-old, like if I'm going to go,
you wanted to know how you compared against your peers.
Yeah.
So I had 1,500 questions. I had over 100,000 people take the interactive survey, and people would stay on it for like 45 minutes because it was constantly giving back to them. It was constantly saying, this is how you're comparing to your peer group. And people got a lot out of that. And so that's how I got it. And it was translated in different languages. It was all over the world. So it did really, really well. And then the companies actually that I was with would write articles about it too. So it was just a snowball effect.
That's awesome. And now your song is going to do the same thing. Are you going to, do you have a video for your song?
Yeah. So on YouTube, I had this, I did my first video right when the song came out. The song came out in February this year. And I did a 1-hour video in a dark tunnel under a highway with like graffiti on the walls and stuff. And I hired professional videographers. I hired professional fire performers, and I DJ'd a 1-hour set. And I actually have 2 songs in that set that I did. And the whole theme was a fiery tunnel with melodic dark techno. And it was very sensual. And my whole thing is obviously raw love. It's all about your raw emotions and feeling a lot of love. And And so it was pretty fun. So that's what I did. And I just finished another song over the weekend too. So
Exciting. When are you going to release that song?
So I'm actually going to play it for the first, I just finished it yesterday. I'm going to play it for the first time this Saturday at a club downtown. I created my own shadow box that we're going to set up next to it. And it's really fun. So you basically dance in like a shadow box, and all you see is the silhouette. It's beautiful. I really love like the dark, hypnotic, kind of sensual kind of music, and with a kind of a theme behind it. And the song that I just created was very Dune inspired. I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Dune, but I love the desert. I love Mad Max. I love Dune. I love Burning Man. I love that kind of gritty. And so I had my girlfriend actually come to my house, and she kind of did the whole like call out, the Dune call out, like we call out into the desert.
That's awesome.
Rad. Yeah, it's really, really cool. And calling it Sacrificial Love. And again, it's about my husband and our relationship. And it basically it's the whole theme is how I would sacrifice my heart, my soul, everything. I would burn everything for him. I love him so much. So it's called Sacrificial Love, and it's got like organic drums and all. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. It's very different.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So my husband's like, oh, what are we gonna do if we get in an argument? I'm like, then I'll write like a mean song.
I'm gonna redub some stuff. I'll
have to rethink that, because sometimes like we'll have sex and I'll like roll over and I'll start like writing. He goes, no, you're not doing this right now. I'm like, oh yes, I am. He's like, are you literally writing down lyrics right now? I'm like, yeah, I feel very moved right now. I need to do this. But I mean, it's fun,
Yeah, it's awesome. Whatever, builds that to go and write. That's what you want. You're inspiring me, babe. Appreciate it.
It's
right?
fun.
I could just go to sleep, or you could inspire me. So I love it.
It's fun.
I love it. Next song. I love these guys. My previous career before I got into finance was a massage therapist. So obviously Enya was huge in my clinic. I used to love playing Enya when I did massages.
Yeah, so early 1990s, I would say, right? Yeah, early 1990s. Yeah. I think that song and that type of music is what actually I bring into my music now, as far as my music's very hypnotic, and that music is so like it just kind of just pulls you in, and you're just like, wow. But my fondest memory of that, when I was 19, 20 years old, I lived near Washington, D.C., and the drinking age back then was 18. But I used to go into Washington, D.C. all the time, and they used to have a club there called the Vault. And it used to be an old bank. And it was just the way you would picture an old bank, just very cold. You'd see all the vaults everywhere. And it's magical now that you think about it. It'd be like the most amazing place for a rave. But it was a big club in DC called the Vault, and you'd walk in and that song would be playing, and it would just be like echoing through the whole place. And it was mesmerizing. And I love it. And it's always something that's going to stay with me. And I think that's made me who I am today, and how this type of melodic techno talks to my soul, just that that hypnotic feeling.
Yeah, I love listening to music like that. I never really thought that I was a lyric person. Sometimes certain songs, not all songs where I'm like, oh, I love the lyrics. There's maybe probably 30 songs that I feel like that.
That you resonate with.
Yeah, like lyrically wise. But it's mostly the feeling, like how Return to Innocence makes me feel. I remember like just laying on my carpet and like playing this song when we would have parties and everybody was kind of drunk or whatever. And I would just be like in my own world, just going. And I never really found anybody that could really connect with music like that with me. Like something kind of weird about it. Like I'm like, oh, listen to this song. Listen to the way we were we went to like a lube wrestling thing on Friday.
No way. That's rad.
It's fucking out of control. I thought it was like wrestling. Like I thought I was walking into this environment where they were like in a fist fight and pull hair. Wasn't quite sure. It was at a really trashy bar here in Alberta. So that's what my expectations were. But it was like you pull a ball out and it's like, oh, how to win this round is humping. So like they would hump each other. And how do you win this round? It's spanking. And I'm like, this is freaking warped. But anyways, we went
oh my gosh, that's great.
It's so crazy. So we experienced that for the first time. So I was under the impression totally different. But even with music, I was like, we were listening to some tunes before, an old school rave, like when we would rave like in a farmer's field, right? Like you just
oh yeah,
loose fitting pants and a crop top, and that's what you raved in, right? Nothing. Your hair was funky. That's all we cared about was like crazy wild hair. Well, that's what I cared about anyways, like wild hair. And I was listening to all this old kind of trance and all this other stuff. And I was saying to my husband constantly, oh, listen to this drop and listen. And he grew up with punk. So he enjoys it when I do that. But he's just like, you hear music so differently than I've ever. Lots of people say that, but I just love that aspect. So I love that you explain your music like that. Cause that's why I think your song, it feels to me different. I like it. Like when you say, oh, the drop, like I can relate to it. So I love your song.
Very hypnotic, it just pulls you in and like sucks you in. And you're just like, So that song that you just played was definitely like a pivotal point in my life. And I think that stays with me. And that's what I try to replicate in today's world.
So take me back to like, what was your first album you ever bought?
I never bought one.
Never.
I know. No, that's what's so strange about me is I was never really into music.
Oh, wow.
Mark and I never even went to a rave or club. So I did when I was younger, living in Washington, D.C. up until I was like 21. And then I moved to California. And then him and we never went to clubs, we were just all outdoorsy people. It wasn't until I was 45. So I never bought an album. I never, I would listen to music on the radio. That was it. I was never really into music.
No concerts or anything like that.
Nope.
Oh,
no concerts, nothing. I just wasn't a part of me. I just didn't really feel like I connected to it. And then I think the big turn for me was when I was turning 45, and I'm 53 right now. My husband had this idea because he had some friends in the Burning Man community, and they were doing like an event downtown. Actually, the Ego Trip, the Burning Man camp that I'm now a part of, was having a big fundraiser called Leather and Lace. And sorry, I'm going off topic a little bit, but he thought it would, just to give you an idea, I just didn't buy albums or play music. So he was like, you know what, instead of getting her flowers, I'm actually going to get her tickets, and we're going to go to this, rave and party until 4 a.m. We're going to try this out, And I was just like, oh, I can't do that. That's not what we do. But I was like, okay, and it's cute if looking back at those pictures, like I wore this like cute little conservative black leather dress. It was like pretty conservative too, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But man, boy, did I have the time of my life. I was like, what? I was like, this is what other people do. I was like, wow, and that was it. That was a big turning point.
I want to go to Burning Man. I haven't been.
Burning Man, and just like going out and getting really dolled up and feeling really sexy and dancing with your husband until like 4 a.m. Is the best medicine ever for a relationship. So I'm 53. So we started 8 years ago. We've never missed one of my camps, big parties. I do 3 or 4 a year. And actually we go to a lot of parties now. We probably go out like at least twice a month and dance until the wee hours of the night and just have the time of our lives. And he's 60 and I'm 53, but all of our friends are in their 20s. They all like love us, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. But so going back to your question with music, I never bought anything. And just until 2 years ago when I started DJing, I started really like getting into music more so.
Yeah, I love that. Well,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
pick your brain about Burning Man another time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. Next song. Love the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So that one was I was 20 years old on a subway. I was working in Washington D.C. I was like a junior analyst, and I didn't go to college. I just went straight from high school to working in the city. And I was listening to Californication, Red Hot Chili Peppers on my headphones, and I was on the subway, and I was looking around, and I was like, everybody on there looked like just drones, like just like robots and just miserable. And I was like, no, this is not happening. I'm not going to live this life. And that was when I was listening to this song, I was like, you know what? I'm going to move to California. And like the next day, I quit my job and I sold everything I owned, which wasn't a whole lot. I packed up my Jeep, no job, no nothing, just drove west and came to California.
Wow.
Yeah, so great
That's
decision.
super brave. Hey,
Yeah, it was awesome.
what were you like in high school?
I didn't really like high school,
Yeah.
so I didn't go very much, unfortunately. And it's funny, my daughter actually was just at my mom's house a couple months ago, and she found some old things that I used to write in high school. And it was like letters to my mom and letters, and basically they were pretty funny because my daughter was reading to me over the phone, and it basically said, I don't think college is for me. I don't need to go to college. I'm like, and I basically said, I have a lot of creative ideas and a lot of people like me. So I feel like I can get by on life just with my personality. And literally, that's what I wrote. And then I was trying to convince them that
Yeah.
I'm not going to college, and I would write these letters of all these reasons why I didn't need it, which is pretty funny because I mean, like, I take on these ideas and I manifest them. The book and the music. I ended up writing a movie that I sold. I became a professional bodybuilder at 50 years old I didn't work out. So I do kind of I look back at those letters. I'm like, yeah, I guess I, kind of did it. Not just my personality, but just my personality being focused and being uber obsessed with things. So,
Yeah. So what made you start to get uber obsessed with working out?
So that's a good story because I actually had a friend that I knew really well that decided she was going to do it, and she lost 70 pounds, and she was young. She was like in her 20s. But what intrigued me was she was a good friend. So I knew she didn't do drugs, and I knew she didn't have good genetics.
Yeah.
And so that's what inspired me because prior to her doing it, I was always thinking, okay, to look like that, you need to be doing drugs, or you have to have good genetics, or you have to be at the gym like 3 hours a day. And I'm not doing any of that. So she inspired me to challenge myself to see if because I didn't have good genetics either. At 40, I actually started working out at 47 years old. So without any like training whatsoever, could I just get a coach and have them kind of help me with my diet and tell me what to eat and only spend like 45 minutes an hour at the gym, 4 days a week and clean up my diet? Was that possible? And I did it just to see if it was even possible at my age. And so I started at 47. I did a couple shows, and at 50, I got my pro card as a pro bodybuilder.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun, and I did it for like 2 years, and then the music came into my life, and I decided, okay, I'm not going to do pro bodybuilding anymore, but I still try to balance. I still work out and have good balance in that sense, but try to put the working out before the music, but usually it's music before the working out.
Music makes you work out. I have to listen to music before I work out, so I'm not working out.
It's true.
It's quite an accomplishment. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really something. I surprised myself, and yeah.
I love it. All right, next song. Hotel California, Eagles.
Yeah, so this is why I didn't go to school. so that back then, obviously songs were always played on the radio, and Eagles was really big. So this is back in the 1980s. And I always had this like running joke with my friends that if a song from the Eagles came on, we weren't going to go to school. And
And then you're like calling the radio station.
yeah, so Eagles made me miss a lot of school. I think unfortunately I skipped probably 80 days my senior year, and even my junior year. It was not good. So and I wasn't even doing anything like bad. I just didn't have the capacity to sit there in a class all day. I just wanted to do other stuff. And so yeah, so the Eagles is always kind of a very fond memory of me driving to school and then the Eagles song coming on and me driving somewhere else.
I love it.
If
If you could bring one thing back from the 80s, what would you bring?
Let's see. What I only say this because I wanted a pair and I didn't have a pair. It's the parachute pants.
Yeah. Nice.
I always wanted them and I never had them. My family didn't have the money to go buy them. And it's one of those things that I used to look back at the 80s and think, God, I wish I had a pair of parachute pants, because they used to be really big back then.
Yeah.
They had their time, you know.
They did.
I wish that I used to have a bi-level haircut, you know, where it was like bi-level and then longer. And I'm glad that did not come back. I look back at pictures where I like feathered my hair and I had this like weird bi-level and I'm like, God, that's horrible.
I look back and I wasn't a big crimper. I was more the person that did the wave. Like I did the wave one all the time. And then I would just like wave my bangs and they would just be like up there. And pink and blue eyeshadow. I didn't wear a lot of makeup, but that was like pink and blue.
That was your thing. That's funny. We're probably about you're 50-ish. How old are you? Yeah. 50-ish. Yeah. Good times.
Crazy. I miss it. I love the 80s. I love when I have somebody on my show that is around my age and we can talk about the 80s.
Yeah. I love the fact we didn't have social media. I'm so glad there's no social media. I can't imagine if there was.
It would be crazy. Do you have any pet peeves? Do you have anything that drives you crazy?
The first thing that comes to mind is like crinkling plastic. That's like, you know, that drives me crazy. And when my kids don't do the dishes. That's my two things. The first two things that come to mind, it's like I don't know where we went wrong with that. They still don't, like, they come over and they just don't do dishes. I'm like, how's that happen?
What do you got kind of going on in your career over the next, call it 3 to 6 months, that you want to maybe share?
Definitely making more music. So I have this one song done and I'll probably get this one going and then have another song going. I really like the idea of creating different music videos too. And putting it in like a real cool setting. Like the last one I did was in a dark tunnel with fire performers. So, and I actually just learned last week, I'm very excited about it. And it kind of goes with this sacrificial love song. I learned how to eat fire, like, you know, take the fire and put it down your throat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then it's pretty fun. And then, you take a little bit of the fumes just in your mouth. And then when you take the fire out, you can actually blow fire, you know. So I guess that's a little bit of more of a short-term goal in the next 3 months, is kind of perfect my fire breathing, and more music. My husband and I are going to travel in June, and I would love to get a DJ event in Berlin. So we're going to stay in Berlin like 3 days. And obviously Berlin is really big into the techno scene, and my music I feel would be a really cool fit for like Berghain or the Kit Kat Club, because it's very like sexual and sensual and dark, and it would just be really amazing to actually DJ to that crowd. So as far as career goals, that's another one of mine. I did have somebody ask me if I would be open to DJing naked, and I was like, nah, I gotta have some boundaries.
An interesting question. Like,
and I was like, I really want DJing in Berlin, but I think, and my husband's so sweet. He's like, what, they won't just take pasties?
Yeah.
I'm like, I appreciate the support, sweetheart, but I'm not doing pasties either.
Only guys
But,
have asked that question, you know what I mean?
but I love that fact that he's not like, troubled, where I think some husbands would be like, oh, I don't like, you gotta dress that way, or, as long as I'm with him and people know I'm with him, he doesn't care. He's like, great. And my wife,
I love it. What about
sexy when you have fun. That's great.
that's all
Yeah, so I would music definitely in the next couple months, focusing on music.
Are you thinking about writing again? Anything like that coming up for you at all? Or do you just feel like you're really
No,
on your music?
I'm just there's just more music. I wrote this last song. I did this last song in about 2 weeks. And I don't sleep. I have a day job too, and I get so like, I just have to get it out. So sometimes I wish I had like 3 or 4 days to work on stuff just to kind of keep in that flow. But I can't. So I'm always trying to focus on my life balance and balance between everything, so I don't go so much in one direction. So on top of creating more songs and being more creative in that sense, I would just say another goal of mine is keeping the balance, keeping it in check, making sure that I'm still working out, I'm still doing stuff with the family, just keeping it all in check. But definitely producing more music, and hopefully maybe getting with a big festival or getting with bigger labels. But although my label's amazing that I'm with right now, he's been amazing. So so his name is Novum, and when I first finished the song, everybody's like, oh, it's people aren't gonna, it's gonna be really hard getting with the label. But I did okay, and I don't know if it's because I'm a female or the song's a little bit more unique. But I got offers pretty quick, so I'm hoping to see what goes on with this next one.
That's good.
It's fun.
Good.
It's fun.
Next song.
Neural configuration may be preserved.
I'm Machine. I love it.
Yeah. So kind of like you with working out, I have my favorite songs that I like to work out to. And that one, she says it over and over again, I am Machine. And I'm like, gosh, to this day, I was like, why didn't I come up with that phrase? Because it's such a cool, and the way she says it in the song and just the timing of it, you put that on your headphones and you're getting ready to lift heavy, and you have somebody in your ear going, I am Machine. And just really like, it hits me. And I can lift a good bit of weight to that song. And so when I'm ready to like go heavy, and which is crazy, and that people always like, oh, you can't put on muscle, or I'm too old or whatever, like I didn't start lifting weights like that until I was 47, and I'm 53, and I'm only working out now probably 3, maybe 4 times if I'm lucky a week. And when you build, even if you started at 50, whatever you start, once you start building that muscle, there's a lot of muscle memory, and you can still keep getting stronger. We actually had a contest. My coach is Brett Contreras, who's known as the glue guy. He's got like 1.5 million followers worldwide. He's amazing. And he only has like a handful of girls, and like 15 girls here, maybe 10, 15 girls here in San Diego. And then he's also in Florida right now, that he actually will do the programming and do everything totally just because he wants to do it. He doesn't want us to pay him or anything, gives us a gym that we can go to and use. And he does it because he wants to see the different ages, and he basically uses us to try different training techniques to see how our bodies respond, which is amazing, because if you want to be a good coach, you need to have a diverse group of women. And so I did a big competition with probably about 30 or 40 women. I was by far the oldest. Most were like 30 or younger. And I did really good, like, and I think I came in third on strict press, and like second or on bench press. And so music like this, it motivates me and it pushes me. And I think anybody can do it. It's just a matter of finding the right music and doing the right workout program.
Yeah. Do you listen to any kind of motivational stuff when you're working out too, or is it just music?
Just music, yeah.
Yeah.
Just music like that. I Am Machine, or just things that really push me. It's funny, we have this other good gym where he actually gives us space to go and have the key to it and so forth. And she does it to country music and also reggae. I'm
Really?
like, she's like, and she's by far like the strongest girl out of all of us. She can, like, I don't know, like back squat like 350 pounds. The girl's a beast. And she was like, okay, put on the reggae. Or put on the country. And
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
oh my gosh, are you I don't even know how she does it, but that's just, so everybody has their thing that inspires them.
Yeah.
And mine is hard techno, and that with somebody yelling, "You are a machine," in your ear.
So you have 3 kids.
Yes, I do.
So my question is, each child, what have you learned from each one of those kids?
My daughter, I would say what I'm continually trying to learn from my daughter is she's very, very feminine and very graceful. And like when she walks into the room, it's almost like she glides into the room. And so I would say from her is falling more into my femininity, is just how do I get into more of that feminine flow state?
Yeah.
That's probably what I learned from her, because I watch her and it's also just very calming. She's very calm too. So she has this gentleness, this femininity and gentleness of calmness about her. So I would definitely say when I watch her, I try to take notes. I'm like, I want to be like that more. And I want to bring that into my life more.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say so that's my daughter, she's 24. And then my oldest, Jake, is 26. And him and I used to dirt bike together. We were a dirt biking family, so we would ride dirt bikes and go to the desert. And what I would learn from him is pushing yourself a little bit past your boundaries, but not so far where you would actually get hurt. And so he was very cautious and very safe, but he would always just kind of push just a little bit. And that's probably what I always watched and learned from him is and you could definitely see that with dirt biking too. It's like you don't want to go too far, too fast, too crazy. You just always want to go just a little bit past what your comfort level to kind of keep pushing you a little bit and to learn more. And then I have a lot of fond memories of just him and I. Actually, I was like, how many teenage boys, like 17 years old, would go ride dirt bikes with their mom in the desert? I mean, we all did it as a family all the time, but sometimes my husband couldn't go and he really wanted to go, so we would do it. So that's what I probably would learn from my oldest. And then my youngest, who is 22, he's interesting because he loves to ask questions, and he's always very present. So when I'm with him, he's like, "Mom, look at me." Be present and communicate with me. So that's kind of his thing. And that always, what I learned from that is just constantly grounding myself. And when he walks in the room, or if anybody walks in the room, is to give them their give the full attention, because that's what he does, So that was probably what I learned from each of my kids.
I love it. They give you good advice, right?
Yeah, they're good. And then you just watch their actions and think, okay, I want to bring that more into my life.
Yeah. We're on your last song. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Was it Atman?
Yes. I think it's Kaniza. I can never say her name right. It's Knsia, I think. Beautiful song. Beautiful song. The whole song is about just letting yourself go and flying away, in a sense, in a very positive way. It's just like releasing yourself of the I I don't know. I tried ayahuasca, the plant medicine, and I don't know if too many people are familiar with that, but it's like a root, like a plant root, and then it also has I don't know, I don't even know what it has in there, but it's supposed to basically you drink it, and it's a plant medicine, and it's supposed to give you insight, basically, is what it's supposed to do. And my husband did it years prior, and he got a lot out of it. It's one of those things that it's not like, oh, I can't wait to do that. That's a lot of fun, because it's more of an introspect. You kind of look within, and she was actually playing that song. So while we were taking the plant medicine and on our own little internal journeys, she was sitting right in front of me with her guitar and playing that song and singing it. And one of the things that I struggled with for a while, that and you're supposed to go in there with like intentions and all of that, and my intentions when I went in there of what I was trying to like introspect was just basically I always felt like wonderful things happened for me, and I just and I was just wanted to dive more into kind of my higher self in a way.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know what to expect and what I was going to get out of it. But when that song was playing, one of the things that I never even thought about was I have all this creativity, and I have all these aspirations of doing all these different things, and I have always been that way. Whereas on top of my day job and the kids and whatever, I always have some sort of creative outlet and something I'm really passionate about. Also started making clothes too, and I'm going to eventually launch my own clothing line. But one of the things I struggle with is my day job is am I really where I need to be in my life in my day job? Should I like quit my day job and just try to do all these extracurricular things? And always the running joke in the office was like, oh, she's doing this because she wants to quit her day job,
Yeah.
And so I would struggle with that, like, gosh, this darn day jobs, and I did love my job. I love the people I work with. I love my clients. But then I also loved all these other things outside of my day job. And so when that song was playing, I had this really strong feeling of the job is serving its purpose. The job is allowing me to have that creativity without feeling like I'm doing it for the money. And it's empowering me to be more creative and more aspirational, because I have the freedom to buy a new DJ controller, or to buy some producing software that I need, and so to have that perfect alignment and balance was good. And so it was a pretty big aha moment for me. And after that, I actually, like, I'll never forget, I was like in the car driving home from my little plant medicine journey, and I called my boss and I'm like, guess what? I'm not going anywhere ever. And he was like, oh, okay. And I said, I love my job, but I also love what I do outside of it, and I'm going to find the right balance. And what's really cool now is, like, when I work my day job, I'm so much, ever since that moment of the song and just that realization, I go into work so happy, because I appreciate my job. I appreciate the people I work with. I appreciate what I do. I love what I do, and I love it when I leave. And it's just I'm full of gratitude for having what I have. So that was a very pivotal point in my life.
I love that. It's interesting that you say that, because I was literally like just having this conversation like 3 days ago. And you just kind of gave me that aha moment because
Yeah, it's like just find that right balance, and it's nice because it's nice not worrying about you. I have the security of a job and money, and it gives me that creative freedom, which because I think when sometimes when you create, if it's like your whole livelihood and you have to make money off of it, it kind of takes a little bit of the fun out of it, I think, a little bit. And people might feel like maybe she's desperate. I don't know. I just
Yes.
I do it because I enjoy it.
1,000%. That desperation. I say that to my team all the time. I'm like, geez, you can't go and sell anything if you're not making any money.
You've got to be passionate about it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I love that. I think you shared that for me today. And I
good
hear that. Like that was really, that really kind of really resonated with me. Yeah, that was awesome.
Good.
Well, I'm not going to let you go yet, right? Before I let you go, I want, please share all of your followings. Where can we find you on Spotify and YouTube and Instagram? Do you want to kind of share a little bit?
Thank you. Yeah. So pretty much my link tree on my Instagram site, which is Raw Love Music. I think it's Raw Love -music. That's pretty much where you'll find all my stuff. YouTube is also Raw Love Music. And then also Spotify is Raw Love. So I have my one and only song out on Spotify, but hopefully I'll have a second one out there coming soon. And then hopefully I'll have another really cool video. I'm trying to think of another cool setting for that too. But so definitely I would probably Instagram's first stop. And then you'll see pretty much everything that I've been talking about here. All my craziness, Burning Man, all kinds of fun stuff.
I love it. I love it. Before I let you go, I would love for you to leave us with some words of wisdom.
Okay, I could definitely do that. I'm trying to think of, I have so many. I have so many. I think I'm going to focus, I think about life, I think finding something and trying different things, finding something that you're really, really passionate about, that you can sink your teeth into and put some time into and see some results in. I feel like that's what brings us life and happiness more so, because finding a creative outlet or something that you really enjoy, I don't know, that just gets me up every morning and I'm just like, I never want to sleep. I'm just my mind doesn't want to rest because I'm just so excited about life and what I can do next and what I can learn. And the way I approach things is when I have a song or if I'm doing anything or if I'm trying to like, hey, you want to listen to this, I always look at it as whoever I reach out to is pretty much the luckiest person that I'm reaching out to, because what I'm bringing to them is a joint effort where it's a win-win for both of us. And I think that's a great way to look at people that you connect with, that if you're trying to sell a product or try to sell somebody on something, is that you have something they want and vice versa. So it's just finding something you're really, really passionate about and making great connections, I guess is probably what I would say.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us today on Music Junkies. Please
like and subscribe.
I will put all her socials. You can go hunt her down. No, she's not going to do any naked DJing, so don't ask her that. Right.
Yeah. And I love giving out advice and helping, by the way. Like I really, really do. If somebody wants to write a book, if somebody wants to do music, if somebody wants to work out, I love to help people. That's my big thing, so if anybody has any questions about any of the things I talked about, I am an open book and I will do everything I can to help other people.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.